Good afternoon. It's the afternoon for me right now. Hello. Here's my presentation where I'm at right now for assignment 4. So I'm going to walk through a few things that I've got going on in my build toward assignment 6. So we've been asked to identify a field initiative, practice, or project or strategy that embodies critical pedagogy principles, as we all know. So what I've done is I've found a little early childhood education school in the town of Iqaluit in Nunavut called Tumikului Sai Pakavik. So that's this right here. That's a couple of words in Inuktitut, which are little footsteps. So we've been asked to look at how this field practice might relate to critical pedagogy. So over the next few minutes here, I'm going to look over critical pedagogy in ECE with a specific focus on Tumikului. I'm going to show you some general information on Tumikului, which is going to come in the form of these two articles up here. And I'm going to look at a couple of media sources, which are these few things over here. I've got a couple formal sources that I'm going over right there to sort of inform what's going on. And actually, no, these are the formal sources, and these are a couple academic sources. So that's how I have my brain split up. And I'm just going to kind of walk through this little Word document here, which is kind of an organization of my brain, and you'll see what's going on for me for assignment 4. So, first of all, Tumikului. So I'm kind of being held together with what Professor Fauvet explained in section 5 here. Critical pedagogy being finding an identity, having a strong identity, being conscious of oppression, finding a voice, and then emancipating yourself and transforming your reality so you're less oppressed. I see a lot of these values, elements in Tumikului Sai Pakavik. Little bit of background on this daycare. So it opened in 2008. It's got a focus on cultural inclusion. It uses an immersion model of Inuktitut for its children. Staff and students alike speak Inuktitut and offer culturally respective programming throughout the day. Students of the daycare experience more success in elementary programming. So that's what Navarna Beveridge states, and I'm going to go into who she is in a few minutes over here in her two articles right there. So the daycare itself illustrates the strength of culturally relevant programming. As Tumikului was getting started, it used feedback from parents to develop its programming. Habits at home were taken into consideration to build the programming at the daycare, and in order for children to attend the daycare, these parents have to be advocates to get them on the list, and as you'll find out later, it's not easy to get on the list, and that kind of demonstrates how important this daycare is for Nunavummiut. Nunavummiut meaning people of Nunavut. The daycare uses direct parental feedback, community, and cultural values to drive the program and decisions. A lot of these pieces are all building toward building that identity. One thing that this project does not do is specifically address critical pedagogy or specifically say that the creators are conscious of oppression. I'm going to talk about how it doesn't overtly say that, but all of the things that the daycare does are demonstrating that the people that are a part of it are on a road to emancipation or on a road to transforming their reality inside this territory. So, who is Navarna Beveridge? Well, she's the founder of Tumikului Sai Pakavik back in 2008. She wrote two sources that I'll be using. One's Investing in Inuktitut, 2011, and another is a substantial case study on the first Inuktitut daycare in Iqaluit, Tumikului Sai Pakavik, 2012. So that's these two articles over here. Navarna Beveridge is a pretty impressive woman. She's currently the director of social policy at the Qikiqtani Inuit Association. Qikiqtani is one of 3 regions in Nunavut. It's the most eastern region. But prior to that, Naverna was the Education Language Policy Analyst with Nunavut Incorporated, NTI, an extremely important organization in Nunavut, in charge of the land claim, and was hugely a part of the land claim for the creation of Nunavut itself. Beveridge advised the Department of Education, Nunavut's Education Act. She's been a part of the Official Languages Act. She's made presentations to the National Senate, to the United Nations. She is hugely impressive. So I'm not going, as I've been advised, I'm not reviewing Naverna Beveridge herself, but her sources on Tumikului will give me a huge amount of information that I'll be able to use in Assignment 6. So this right here, we talk a little bit about Tumikului, and I did already before, that it uses the Inuit language and culture and worldview as its focus, that its objective is to reinforce the Inuit identity in a daycare setting. Because English is so pervasive in Nunavut society, in media, everything that's around, especially in schools, all public schools have a mandate to include Inuit societal values and worldview in their day, but the reality is that the vast, vast majority of people teaching in the schools are Kablanat. That is, people that are not from Nunavut itself. So something like Tumikului is extraordinarily needed in the territory. I could probably I'll jump to those two sources here for a second. So that was the case study on the first Inuktitut daycare. That's a pretty in-depth publication that I'll be using. And then Investing in Inuktitut's a quick journal article with some international discussions that was published a year before that large case study. So I'll be relying on that a little bit as well for background on Tumikului, and then also some international discussion as well. Some of the media sources that I've been looking at so far. This is an article in a publication called Nunatsiaq News. Nunatsiaq is one of two news publications in Nunavut, News North being the other one. What this article does here is it demonstrates the predominance of English in Nunavut in schools and towns, and specifically it praises Tumikului for Inuktitut in early childhood education. I'm just going to use this publication a little bit here. This is when the QIA recently announced EPTK, Improving Early Childhood Education in the Qikiqtani region. So Tumikului is benefiting from a substantial $500,000 grant that is focused on early childhood education. And this article just kind of demonstrates that the QIA is behind the whole idea of Tumikului and how they're demonstrating the worldview of Inuit in early childhood education. And finally, this CBC article from a few years ago demonstrates the success of Tumikului in Iqaluit and shows how daycares have a huge shortage in space. About 150 kids are on the waiting list for Tumikului. This is back in 2007, but this is, I mean, we're 10 years later now, but it's consistent, and the waiting list is substantial, and the daycare is successful in what they're hoping to do. Couple formal sources as well. I don't. I'm kind of running close to 10 minutes here, which is what was suggested for the length. So, Leanna Katz has a pretty useful article that I'm going to focus on, I think, in Assignment 6. She talks about how a lot of educators are engaging with critical pedagogy, but they don't necessarily know that they're doing it. And so I'm going to demonstrate in using this article that although Tumikului are not critical pedagogues specifically, they are using critical pedagogy in their venture. They're helping kids find an identity. They are the daycare was created because of the oppression that was inside of Iqaluit, which is inside of Nunavut. That is that Inuit identity is not front and center, and that's what Tumikului guarantees. A few other articles here that I'm going to use maybe to draw some parallels. Markovich here talks about a Jewish Israeli high school that was founded on the ground of instilling critical consciousness in its students and ensuring that the students there were felt empowered, and that's sort of the similar values that Beveridge demonstrates here in her article, her case study on why Tumikului came to be. So I'm up to 10 minutes here. That went by pretty fast. Maybe not for you. So I'm hoping that Tumikului is a pretty good demonstration of critical pedagogy, and I think I'll be able to demonstrate that in assignment 6. This is where I'm at. Hopefully you enjoyed that and it wasn't too arduous for you. Thanks for listening. That's that.